Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, just near the English Channel. We hope that you're all well, safe, happy. We hope that we can add some transcendental happiness to your life this evening by reading the Brhad Bhagavatamrta. But first we're going to read, as we do every night, the Srimad Bhagavatam Stotra, a 5-verse stotra incorporated into the Krishna Lila Stava, Srila Sanatana Goswami's glorification of the Vrindavan pastimes of Krishna. And these 5 verses glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the basis for not only the Brhad Bhagavatamrta, but all the Rasa Shastras written by the Goswamis of Vrindavan. It goes like this: Sarva Shastra Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu, Kalidvandotita Ditya, Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshvaraya Te, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Sri Krishnaya Namostime. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguru Man Mahadana, Man Nistadaga Mad Bhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhu tadayin adini chotata kada hanamun jagadachin mam premnarit kantayos Buddha. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, the Brahmana from Mathura and Pragjotipur has met his spiritual master, whose name is Gopakumar. Srimati Radharani sent Gopakumar to this particular grove near the Yamuna, and the Brahman from Mathura, as soon as he reached Vrindavan, he heard crying and he followed the sound, and finally he saw this beautiful cowherd boy. And once Gopakumar sees him and meets him, he understands why Radharani told him to come to that place. So now the arrangement's been made, and Gopakumar has understood that this person is actually qualified by the mercy of Srimati Radharani, through Kamakya, the deity, her expansion, and Gopakumar has decided that in order to qualify him completely, he's going to tell him his own story. We're beginning with text 111, chapter 1 of the second part of Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Gopakumar is speaking. I am a son of a Vaishya of Govardhan, who made his living as a cowherd. As a young boy of that community, I used to tend my own cows. Text 112. O best of learned Brahmanas, I stayed in the company of other boys there at Govardhan, here in Vrindavan, on the banks of Yamuna, and at various other places in the district of Mathura. Commentary. Now Gopakumar begins his story, which will continue till the end of the 6th chapter. He was born in a Vaishya community in a family of cowherds. Many scriptures, including Srimad Bhagavatam 10:24-21, describe that Vaishyas may engage in 4 occupations: trade, banking, farming, and cow protection. Krishi Vanija Go Raksha Kusidam. As this history unfolds, we shall find my cursor went way back to where we were yesterday because I forgot to click it. You got to click it, if you know what I mean. If you want to get to where you're going, you got to click it. When you get to where you want to go, you got to click the right place, isn't it? Okay. Click. As this history unfolds, we shall find that although a long time has passed since Gopakumar was an innocent boy at Govardhan, he is not aged at all. As he explains later, this was due to a blessing given him by his spiritual master. By the potency of this mantra, may you live a long time. May you always have the form of a cowherd boy, and may you develop the right mentality for tasting the mantra's fruits. Brhad Bhagavatamrta 2:191. Gopakumar's tending a herd of his own cows means that his family was relatively well-to-do and independent. In the course of doing this work, he wandered over the area within the 20 yojana circumference of Mathura Mandal. Among the places he used for cowherding, his special favorites were Govardhan, the forest of Vrindavan, and the shores of the Yamuna. Sometimes he went to other locations in the Dham, like Mahavan, but according to one transcendental opinion, Brajabhumi consists of nothing but Govardhan, Vrindavan, and the Yamuna, since these 3 places pervade the entire Dham. In any case, there is no place outside Brajadham where a cowherd can get real benefit from his occupation. Gopakumar addresses his new student by saying, O best of learned Brahmanas, because the student hails from the Brahmana community of Mathura. Text 113. In the forest, we regularly saw a certain first-class Brahmana wandering from place to place. He was very renounced, and his body appeared like that of a god. Commentary. This person the boys frequently saw was in truth the best of Brahmanas. His body was golden and very beautiful. Text 114. He was always chanting the glories of Krishna. Sometimes he sang, and sometimes he danced. Sometimes, absorbed in meditation, he chanted his mantra to himself, and sometimes he gave himself over to laughter. Commentary. The outstanding characteristic of this Brahmana was that he always vibrated Krishna's glories, either with the two-syllable name Krishna or with other names of the personality of Godhead. He would sing these names sweetly in various ways. He sometimes appeared withdrawn into his private japa and dhyana, which he dutifully performed daily, even though he was already perfect in chanting the Lord's holy names. As the Tantras prescribed, even a person who has perfected the chanting of his mantra should continue to perform regular worship through japa and dhyana to show gratitude to his spiritual benefactors. Even if one has perfected his mantra and is completely pure in heart, he should still worship the Lord at the three junctures of the day by the method prescribed, or at least one of these 3 times he should do his worship, and 108 times he should chant japa of his mantra. When the Brahmana seemed withdrawn, intent on his prescribed chanting and meditation, in fact his outward senses were inactive, not because he was controlling them out of duty, but because ecstatic love was swelling up within him. Text 115. Sometimes he shouted, or loudly sobbed, or stumbled and fell to the ground, or rolled about on the ground like a madman. Text 116. Sometimes he fell unconscious and lay still like a corpse, the flood of his mucus, saliva, and tears turning the dust on the cow path into mud. Commentary. Because the Brahmana was practicing such an intense chanting of the Holy Lord's names, he would sometimes feel joy so immense that he would lose outward consciousness. Sometimes he would collapse without wetting the ground, as if described here, and then he would appear to have died. Text 117. Out of curiosity, we cowherd boys would often come look at him, but when he saw us in front of him, he would bow down to us with devotion. Commentary. He apparently had great respect for the boys, despite their having no special respect for him. Text 118. He would heartily embrace us and affectionately cover us with kisses, as if we were his best friends. He was unable to give up our company. Commentary. Immersed in Krishna prema, this Brahmana was attracted to these village boys because they resembled young Krishna and his cowherd friends. Priya Bandhu has several meanings: best friends, close friends, most dear devotees of the Lord, and the Supreme Lord, who is dear to his devotees. Text 119. He was pleased with my services, like giving gifts of milk products. One day, meeting me on the shore of the Yamuna, he embraced me and spoke in this way. Gopakumar. Commentary. Gopakumar gave his new friend presents of milk, yogurt, and other milk products, and would also carry his water pot and follow him around. This kind of voluntary service pleased the great soul, who became disposed to give the boy his mercy. My dear child, if you want to fulfill all your desires, please bathe at Keshigat and then accept from me this mercy of the Lord of the universe. Commentary. Normally we consider the mercy of the Supreme Lord something intangible, but the saintly Brahmana called it this mercy as if it were a tangible object in front of them. He told Gopakumar, just take it from me, as if literally placing it in his hands. Text 121. Thus, after I bathed, he imparted to me the same mantra you are chanting. Although he was fully satisfied in himself and indifferent to material things, he was the crest jewel of all compassionate souls. Commentary. Since Gopakumar and his student have been initiated into the same mantra, their relationship should become very friendly. When Gopakumar got his mantra, he should not have thought that this was his guru's way of reciprocating the gifts of buttermilk and yogurt. His guru, being fully self-satisfied, did not need the service. Only out of infinite compassion for the fallen souls did the guru show Gopakumar his mercy. Text 122. He was about to explain the method of worshipping with the mantra, but as soon as he mentioned the object of meditation, he was overcome by pure love of God, became confused, and started crying like a woman separated from her lover. Commentary. Gopakumar's guru had the instructions for properly using the mantra just on the tip of his tongue. He was about to tell Gopakumar how to touch the body with the syllables of the mantra, how to meditate systematically on the meaning of the mantra, and all the other details for reciting the mantra in worship. But as soon as he started to describe the beautiful form of Srimad Madan Gopal, a sudden ecstasy caught hold of him, and crying like a lovesick woman, remembering her distant beloved, he lost his train of thought. Text 123. When he regained normal consciousness, I was afraid to ask him anything. He stood up and went away, distressed. And after that, he was nowhere to be found. Commentary. Having just received initiation, Gopakumar felt deep reverence for his spiritual master, and without first being spoken to, he dared not say anything. He feared he might have done something offensive to upset his guru, and thought that if he said anything wrong, his guru might start crying again. Why didn't the saintly Brahmana give the missing instructions? Why didn't the saintly Brahmana give the missing instructions? Asked? Unasked? In his ecstatic mood, he was unhappy and distracted, so he went away, saying nothing more. And because he had no fixed residence, he was not to be found again. Text 124. I had no idea what this mantra was that I had received, what fruit its chanting would bear, or even how the mantra was to be practiced. Commentary. Gopakumar did not even know the name of this 10-syllable mantra. Was the mantra meant to be sung out loud or chanted quietly? Or was it a mantra at all? If it was powerful, when chanted perfectly, what fruit would it bear? His guru had told him that the mantra would fulfill all his desires, but that was vague. Until now, Gopakumar had never thought seriously about his ultimate desires and goals. Text 125. Simply out of respect for the Brahmana's words, I constantly murmured this mantra in secluded places, unseen by others. I chanted it just out of curiosity. Commentary. Gopakumar aware of his ignorance of the true nature of the mantra, was embarrassed to chant it in public, but it certainly fascinated him. Text 126. By the influence of that great person, even such aimless chanting purified my mind, and I developed faith in the mantra. Commentary. Without scientific knowledge of its practice and significance, the young sadhaka Gopakumar could hardly have solid faith in the mantra. He was not firmly convinced of its efficacy, nor was he affectionately attracted to it. Nonetheless, his naive chanting purified his mind of lust, envy, and greed. Text 127. Contemplating my Guru's words, I understood the mantra to be the means for achieving the Lord of the universe. Thus I became satisfied and absorbed in chanting. Commentary. Gopakumar's Guru told him, accept the Supreme Lord's mercy. Remembering this, Gopakumar concluded that the mantra was meant for obtaining the favor of the Supreme Lord. This was a satisfying reason to take enthusiastically to the chanting. I became eager to know who this Lord of the universe was and when I might be able to see him. With this as my only aspiration, I abandoned my home and other attachments and went to the bank of the Ganga. Commentary. Wanting to identify the Lord of the universe, Gopakumar compared him to familiar people and things, but he could find no clue in the place where he had been brought up. So he left home to wander in search of the Lord. Text 129. Hearing the distant sound of a conch shell being blown, I followed that sound to its origin on a sandy bank of the river. There I saw a learned Brahmana worshipping a Shalagram Shila, and I bowed down. Text 130. I asked him, Master, what are you worshipping? Laughing, he replied, Dear boy, don't you know that this is the Lord of the universe? Commentary. The worshipper was surprised that anyone, even a child, wouldn't know that Sri Shalagram is a direct incarnation of the Lord of the universe. Text 131. Hearing this, I felt unlimited happiness, like a poor man finding a welcome treasure, or a family man reuniting with a long-lost relative. Text 132. I gazed for a long time at the Lord of the universe, and with faith bowed down to him, my whole body flat on the ground like a rod. By the Brahmana's mercy, I received some water that had washed the Lord's feet, and some remnants of offerings to him. Commentary. With newborn faith and affection for the Lord in his Shalagram form, Gopakumar happily accepted the Lord's Charanamrita, along with remnants of tulsi leaves and other items earlier offered to the Lord. Text 133. When the Brahmana, preparing to return home, lay the Lord of the universe to rest in a box, pained to see this, I tearfully complained in this way. Now mind you, this Gopakumar is only a 10-year-old boy. Text 134. My God, you are putting the Supreme Lord into a box, such an unfit place, and he hasn't even eaten? How will he sleep if he is hungry? Commentary. Gopakumar thought the little box an ill-chosen place for the Lord of the universe, told that being placed in such a box is what is done with the deity after worship to him is finished. Gopakumar replied that he had not seen the Brahmana make an offering of food substantial enough to satisfy the Lord's appetite, and that the Lord should not be forced to sleep without being fed. Text 135. O excellent Brahmana from Mathura, because of my material conditioning, I was unaware that the Lord of the universe is different from everyone and everything in this world. Commentary. Gopakumar was ignorant of the Supreme Person's transcendental nature. The Lord can enjoy himself everywhere simultaneously by expanding into an infinite number of forms. There is no reason to worry that he will go hungry because of one devotee's neglect. He may seem to be a small stone trapped in a box, but in fact, the Lord is unlimited. As I complained and suffered in my uncontrived lamentation, the Brahmana tried to console me. Full of humility, he shyly spoke. Commentary. The saintly Brahmana was ashamed of being too poor to feed even a human guest. What to speak of the Supreme Lord? And in fact, the place where he had now performed his worship simply had no facilities for cooking. But the humility the Brahmana felt was not caused by any external circumstance. It was a natural ecstasy of his individual type of love of God. Text 137. O new Vaishnava, he said, what more can this poor man do? I can offer to the Lord of the universe only the meals I prepare for myself. Commentary. The Brahmana who lived near the Ganga thought, if this cowherd boy has never seen a Brahmana like me worshipping Shalagram Srila, he must be new to spiritual life. Text 138 and 139. If you are eager to see the Lord's opulence and a great festival for his worship, please go to the capital city of this country's very saintly ruler. He is attached to the worship of Lord Vishnu in great love. You will find his city not far away, and there you can behold the Lord of the universe who is so difficult to see. Commentary. The king of this district on the shore of the Ganga was a sincere Vaishnava, which made him a greater saint than any karmi, jnani, or ordinary yogi. He worships the deity of Lord Vishnu with festive opulence. If Gopakumar liked, he could go to the capital and see for himself this king's wonderful worship. He could see the Lord's beauty, the rich offerings made to the Lord, and his luxurious sleeping quarters. The opulences of the king's deity were much more readily visible than those of the poor Brahmana's Shalagram Srila. Text 140. You will feel great ecstasy, fulfilling all your heart's desires. But for now, please come have lunch in my house from the remnants of what has been offered to Lord Vishnu. Commentary. Gopakumar will certainly feel bliss if he witnesses the opulence of the Vishnu deity in the royal city, hears the songs and prayers recited for the pleasure of the Lord, and tastes the remnants of food offered to the Lord. The Brahmana admits that devotees who have pure love for the Lord prefer to see him worshipped with suitable opulence, opulence that he, a poor man, cannot provide for his own deity. Gopakumar should therefore at once go to the capital, but before he goes, he should have lunch at the Brahmana's house, where he can taste whatever little rice and other items have been offered this morning to the Brahmana's Shalagram Srila. Text 141. Delighted by the Brahmana's words, I offered him my obeisances, and without stopping at his house, even though hungry, I set off for the capital by the road he pointed out. Commentary. Gopakumar repeatedly prostrated himself before the Brahmana with great devotion. He did this partly to beg pardon for declining the Brahmana's invitation, and partly to beg blessings for an auspicious journey. Text 142. Within the inner precincts of the city, from a distance, I heard the sound of temple worship of the Lord of the universe. I had never heard such a tumult, and so I asked about it from people nearby. Commentary. The noise Gopakumar heard came from the Lord's Arati ceremony in the royal temple, where many devotees were chanting and playing musical instruments. The sound impressed Gopakumar as very wonderful. Text 143. Learning that the Lord of the universe was being worshipped, I wanted to see him. As I approached, no one stopped me, so I quickly entered the temple, where in front of me I beheld the beautiful four-armed form of the Lord, his hands resplendent with a conch shell, disc, lotus, and club. Commentary. The guards at the door of the temple neither questioned Gopakumar nor blocked his entrance, so he eagerly ran inside. There he saw the deity of Vishnu, whose beauty and opulence more than fulfilled the Brahmana's predictions and Gopakumar's own expectations. The four arms of the Lord resembled the bodies of mighty serpents. Text 144. All the parts of his body were exquisitely attractive, and his complexion resembled a new rain cloud. Words can hardly describe his youthful body, dressed in yellow silk, ornamented with gold, and decorated with forest flowers that increased his beauty. His face, with its sweet nectarian smile and lotus-like eyes, appeared like the full moon. Commentary. Beginning from his eyes and mouth, every part of Lord Vishnu's body was enchanting. Gopakumar could only compare his beauty to that of the most beautiful things he knew, a rain cloud, the moon, and lotus flowers. Text 145. While many attendants, fondly attached to serving him, worshipped him with various rare items, he stood on an excellent throne, and from a distance watched the dancing and other entertainment presented before him. Every sort of wonderful paraphernalia was being engaged for his pleasure. Commentary. As the most precious items to be found were presented to the Lord, one after another, his personal attendants waved chamara fans intently and offered him betel nut and other refreshments. In the midst of all this, instead of coming forward to meet the crowd, he stood on his throne and acknowledged the entertainment going on further away by watching with unblinking eyes. Text 146. Filled with supreme bliss, I repeatedly fell flat on the ground. Today, I thought, I have seen what I always wanted to see. Text 147. Now my life is a success. I shall never go away from this place. And so, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, I began to live there happily. Commentary. Gopakumar had left his family and friends to wander in search of his worshipable Lord, and now he had found him. Although as a penniless beggar from a foreign country, Gopakumar could hardly expect to be allowed to stay in the neighborhood of the royal palace and dine on the remnants of the king's deity, the local Vaishnavas were kind to him. They brought him Mahaprasad and did everything possible to encourage and protect him. Text 144. I would eat remnants of food offered to Lord Vishnu, witness the great festivals of his worship, and hear the glories of his worship, and more, all the while carefully chanting my mantra in private. Commentary. While residing with the Vaishnavas who served the deity of Lord Vishnu, Gopakumar heard from them the glories of worship of Vishnu, as described in various Puranas and other scriptures. He heard that worshipping Vishnu is the highest activity for human beings, and he heard specific instructions about various aspects of his worship. He also heard about the glories of Lord Vishnu's prasad. All the benefits ascribed to the vow of fasting for 6 months are gained in Kali Yuga by those who eat food mixed with the remnants of Vishnu. From all these instructions, however, Gopakumar did not receive a complete, systematic spiritual education. No one told him, for example, about such basic matters as the existence of higher planets, like the Swarga of Lord Indra. The Vaishnavas were unaware that Gopakumar, despite his saintly qualities, had never had any training. Thus he remained naive about the complexities of the material world. Text 149. Yet my heart, O Brahmana, never forgot the beauty of this Brajabhumi and the joy of playing here as a cowherd. Commentary. Gopakumar's indelible recollections of Brajadam, far from being just sentimental, were a sign that by chanting his mantra, he was reaping transcendental results. The public opulence of Lord Vishnu's worship did not attract him more than the simple happiness of wandering about the fields of Braja. While sleeping or awake, he could not forget Braja. Even while he took part in Lord Vishnu's festivals, thoughts of Braja, Bhumi, lingered in his mind. Text 150. Remaining thus for some days in that place, I developed great eagerness to engage in that method of worship. Commentary. Gopakumar was eager to reciprocate in a personal way with the Lord of the universe, and the opulent worship in Vishnu's temple seemed such a way. Text 151. The king of that country was sonless, and despite my being a foreigner, he noted my good character, and he developed affection for me. But soon after finally adopting me as his son, he died. Text 152. After inheriting his kingdom, I made even more elaborate the joyful worship of Lord Vishnu. Every day, saintly persons were fed with remnants of food from this worship. Commentary. Simple soul that he was, Gopakumar accepted his material elevation as a chance to increase his devotional service. As king, he saw to it that Lord Vishnu's worship was improved and that the Lord's mercy was distributed as widely as possible. 153. And always unattached to royal opulence, I continued living just as before. I quietly chanted my mantra and ate only remnants of food left by the Lord as his mercy. Commentary. Gopakumar's mantra protected him from being corrupted by royal power. Thus he was undistracted by sovereignty and wealth. Retaining his unassuming simplicity, he went on chanting his mantra, satisfied with the gratification that his senses enjoyed from honoring Lord Krishna's prasad. Text 154. I divided the affairs of the kingdom and handed them over to the relatives and entourage of the deceased king. But still, I suffered in various ways due to my connection with the kingdom. Commentary. To avoid being blamed for neglecting the kingdom while absorbed in private meditation, Gopakumar delegated the practical affairs of ruling to the previous king's friends, ministers, in-laws, and immediate family. He gave them the authority to make day-to-day decisions. Nonetheless, various anxieties connected with the kingdom continued to be thrust upon him, and so a crisis gradually arose. Discriminating Vaishnavas may be better off uninvolved in the management of kingdoms. Hare Krishna. Text 155. Sometimes I feared neighboring kingdoms, and at other times the emperor. Having to obey his various and abundant commands stifled my freedom. Commentary. Every king has enemies, including the unhappy citizens of his own state, as well as the rulers of rival kingdoms. If he is a vessel of a greater king, he must follow the overlord's whims and cannot act independently. Gopakumar felt all these anxieties. 156. If the Supreme Lord's remnants were touched by an outsider or carried outside the temple, or if for any other reason a doubt arose about the purity of the remnants, no respectable person would eat them. Commentary. Gopakumar certainly should have tolerated. How many verses do we have in this chapter? Oh, quite a few.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to stop the reading now for tonight. And we'll find out what an interesting development there will be tomorrow to Gopakumar's journey being carried by his mantra. Okay, Hare Krishna. If there's any reflections or comments or discussions, I'll start with text 156 tomorrow.
So,
Hare Krishna.
from Brhad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna Braj, Hare Bo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Does Krishna have a form he prefers best? I'm sure all are qualitatively the same, but does he prefer Braj best? What does he like?
Who, Gopakumar?
No, Krishna. Does Krishna have a form he prefers? Yeah. Does Krishna have a form he prefers best?
Yes, Krishna prefers his original Swayam Bhagavan form, the cowherd boy. And he enjoys most the association of the devotees in Goloka Vrindavan. But, having said that, he's unlimited. So therefore he has unlimited forms, he has unlimited devotees, and those devotees have unlimited moods for worshipping him. And so, even though he does enjoy Braj more than any other place, he gives himself freely wherever the devotees are worshipping him, in whatever whatever mood they have individually. And that is what the whole material and spiritual world is all about. Hare Krishna.
Continue the comments.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
comments just arrived. From Gauranga Goparanadhana.
Gauranga Gopal, Haribol.
I appreciated this commentary, simple soul that he was. Gopal Kumar accepted his material elevation as a chance to increase his devotional service. Could you expand on this point, please?
Could you read it again, please?
Yeah. I appreciated this commentary, simple soul that he was. Gopal Kumar accepted his material elevation as a chance to increase his devotional service. Could you expand on this point, please?
Well, as we said before, Gopal Kumar is a young boy, no more than 10 or 12 years old, and he doesn't have any worldly experience. So the mercy that his spiritual master gave him was that he could stay a young boy, and he could stay in the form of a cowherd. But because his spiritual master after he initiated him, he became so ecstatic that he couldn't explain anything more. Gopal Kumar remained uneducated. So all these things that are going to happen to him, this is just the first thing. Well, it's actually the second thing. There was the Brahmana with the Shaligram Shila, and then now the king. So Gopal Kumar is going to go from one place to another, and he's going to get his education through the mercy of the mantra from his spiritual master, mercy. So therefore, even though he was completely uneducated, by spiritual destiny, he became the king. Because the king loved him, because he was naturally such a good character, and he didn't have a son. So he inherited the kingdom. But he still remained a simple boy, uneducated boy, even though Providence had, thrust upon him all these duties and all of these complicated problems that come from having to manage a kingdom. And so he felt uncomfortable. He stayed all these different places that Gopal Kumar goes, he stays the same mood, he stays in the same, and he's always looking for the complete satisfaction. But the complete satisfaction will not be realized until he reaches Goloka-Vrindavan and comes to his original living place and his original service to the Lord. So this is going to be the plot, of Gopal Kumar's journey. He's going to get his education just like a young boy. When a young boy is like 8, 10 years old, wherever he goes, he wants to find everything about the place. That's the nature of young boys. So that's what's happening to him. But in the process of doing this, he's going to get a full education from all these different devotees in different moods and in different places. So yes, Krishna has unlimited forms, he has unlimited moods, he has unlimited everything. But still, he's the happiest in Braja. Therefore it says that Krishna never actually steps out of Vrindavan. Wherever he goes in his expansions and in his incarnations, but he originally, in his original form, he stays at home in Goloka, Vrindavan, Hare Krishna, with the Vrajvasis and the cows and the creepers.
From Vamshi Vilas.
Hey Vamshi, Haribo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your reading. Interesting to notice the parallels between Narada's journey and the one Gopakumara is embarking on.
Yes.
If Narada's journey was a search for the best devotee, what exactly is the purpose of Gopakumara's journey?
Well, he's trying to find the Lord of his heart, and he's trying to find where he belongs. And this will take him many places in these 2 volumes. And finally, he will come to Goloka Vrindavan, and he will find out that Brajabhumi, where he was born, and Goloka Vrindavan, Braj, are the same. Hare Krishna.
From Rati Manjari.
Hare Krishna, Rati Manjari.
Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I find this story fascinating to hear. There are so many details and unexpected turns. I respect your schedule, but I wish that you could simply go on reading.
Well, thanks for respecting my schedule. And I would like to say that I would like to go on also reading. But what can I say? I've fallen into this big vat of nectar, and I'm hearing Chaitanya Charitamrita, 4 or 5, up to 6 hours a day. So I'm going from one nectar subject to another. It's almost overwhelming. I don't know what to do except to just try to accept the mercy, Hare Krishna, and the mercy of the devotees, Hare Krishna.
Brhad Bhagavatam. What is the new artwork above the altar, above the butterflies?
The new artwork above the butterfly? Well, there's 2, 4, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's 16 butterflies. Which one are you talking about? The artwork above the butterflies.
All the way on the top.
All the way on the top. Well, I think all the way on the top is outside of what you can see. So what's the one that's on the top that you can see? Is it a plant? Tell me what you see through on the screen. What do you see on the screen?
It's Radha and Ishvara, but it's cutting that. We can't see it fully. Above Tulsi, Goranitai. Above Tulsi.
So above Tulsi, what he's talking about?
Yeah.
That is Sri Gornitai in Radhalandaneshwara temple in London.
Mm. Okay, so
those are the deities, our deities, because they're the closest ones to us.
Okay, we have more comments.
I thought that was going to happen.
From Anadi Kishore.
Anadi Kishore, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it seems like the blessing Gopakumara received from his spiritual master, that he would never grow old, could be construed as being some sort of yogic siddhi or material perfection, and therefore it seems somewhat unusual in the context of a tale or transcendence like this. I imagine this complexity probably has some deeper reason or meaning which will be explained later. I couldn't stifle my curiosity.
Well, actually, we'll find out later on that his spiritual master was actually Krishna. Of course, the spiritual master is worshipped as good as Krishna because he's very dear to Krishna. But sometimes Krishna appears himself as the spiritual master. So that's the case. So what happened was, he gave him a spiritual body. That's what it means that he would never grow old and he would stay in the body of a cowherd. That was his eternal form. So it's interesting because he'll be going from one place to another in his eternal form, and still uneducated, and he will be educated and finally find out where he belongs, which ended up being where he started. So it shows that even when we get realization, we can't always see it ourselves. We have to become mature before we can see.
From Rati Manjari, this combination of devotion and innocence and lack of education in Gopakumar is giving the story a very special angle.
Yes. It's a very special taste, this book. Most of the devotees I've heard, who I know who read this book, they like this part the best.
From Krishna Primavati, Maharaj, will Gopakumar end up back in Braj at the end? I cannot wait for this story to unfold.
I'm not going to tell everything. I'm going to let some suspense increase the ecstasy of the thing. Hare Krishna.
Gauranga Gopal said, thank you very much, Maharaj, for your amazing answer. Okay. Ryan Scarlett, love your program, Maharaj. From Radha Madan Mohan, Hare Krishna Maharaj, and all friends, all glories to Srila Prabhupada in your transcendental daily readings of Brhad Bhagavatamrta.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate deeply your sentiments, and I must say that I live on the mercy of your sentiments. I'm here, fairly distanced from the usual social life of temples and big festivals and everything. I'm relishing a kind of special mood to be here, and having these special services where I can just, relish the pastimes of the Lord and the association of, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, these great liberated authors who gave us this nectar to explain to us, just like we came to Krishna consciousness, uneducated, spiritually, not so worldly experienced, and Prabhupada uplifted us and allowed us to see the whole world, by his mercy, and see and get the experience of living in different cultures. And I know something about this. It makes one, more mature and worldly wise, and at the same time opens our consciousness. When Narada Muni, he was only 5 years old when his mother died, and he had gotten the association of the Bhaktivedantas, the great souls. Some commentators say that it was Lord Shiva and other great souls that he served. Anyway, whoever it was, he became inclined to devotional service just by hearing from them and taking remnants of their prasadam. And he became advanced. But he was still only a 5-year-old boy. So when his mother died, he took it as Krishna's mercy and just started wandering around. And in the purports of those verses where he describes how he travels all the different places and sees the world's varieties of places, big cities and forests and mining towns and just everything, he became world wise and as well as spiritually wise. So that's what's going on here. It's very wonderful. You'll see, it's very wonderful. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Anybody that we haven't heard from, please forgive us. I'm time constrained, even more so than before. So please bless me so that I can finish this worked. I got the final, yesterday I got the final booking of my next adventure in the next surgery that I have scheduled for the 14th of April, which is not that far away. We're not that more than a little more than a month away. And I'll have to go up for my pre-op examination on the 9th of April, and then I'll have my COVID test, swab test on the 11th, and then I'll have the operation on the 14th. So between now and then, we've got a lot to do. So we thank you very much for your patience and your understanding and your association. And we have one more comment. Yeah.
Just one question. From Nita Gosai. Dear Srila Guru Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. Hare Krishna. While reading last night fragments of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's writing, there was mention of the seven-tongued Sankirtan of Lord Chaitanya. What does this precisely mean, please? Thank you.
The seven what?
The seven...
I couldn't understand your words.
Tongued Sankirtan of Lord Chaitanya. The seven tongued...
It's a poetic description. It's not meant to be taken like that there's seven specific scientific things. It's a poetic description of how diverse Sankirtan is. It's not meant to be taken that way. Hare Krishna, thank you again, everybody, and thank you, Madalini Tai, for your question, your last question. Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same topic. It's the same topic, but it keeps getting better and better and better. De creme, de la 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 creme. Hari Bol, see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.